Welcome to the RCVR podcast. This is a big day.
Super big.
I hope if you're driving, pull over. If you're standing, please sit, because we have a giant. We have a guest in house that is going to blow your minds. We finally got access to the #1 interview that we were looking forward to doing, and that's with Momma-bear herself, a.k.a. the Black Widow, a.k.a. Lady Luck. Diane Diaz in the house with us today.
Oh, yeah.
Jared, where's the applause thing?
Oh, this is a random button, so hopefully I get it right.
Oh, gosh. All right.
No. I haven't been practicing.
Anyways, my co-host today is Sean Moy. Sean, how are you doing?
Doing fantastic.
Are you nervous having the
Yes.
legend?
Yeah, one of my idols. Yeah. I've always been a little bit afraid of Diane, and also tons of respect.
For real.
You guys are scaring me.
Oh, yeah. No, we're really excited to have you on, Diane. So for anyone who has been to the building, and some of the people listening have never been to headquarters, so I do want to give you like a proper introduction. But Diane has been in our world somewhere or another, dealing with reps and dealing with salesmen and things for a really long time. How long have you been dealing with salesmen, Diane?
Do we have to say?
I'm
That kind
so
of shows
sorry.
my age.
On behalf of all of us, I'm so sorry.
Probably 30 years. Probably 30 years.
Oh, yeah. So she knows exactly what we are, and she knows how to deal with us. That's for sure. But she's been at Clear, the mothership of Clear, for about 6 years now. I still remember the first day you came in and I met you, and I was like, oh man, whatever we need to do, we have to keep her. I don't care about this other group that's with her. We have to keep Diane. But no, we've been super lucky to have you. So if you've been to the building and you've walked through, there's kind of a middle area. We call it the recruiting hub or Party Central. It's where Kevin Arthur loses to everyone in ping pong. I don't know, different, but Diane, that is like her home. That's like her domain, and she runs this joint, right? And so, but you kind of have your hands in everything. So, Dan, thanks for being on the podcast.
Thanks for having me.
So the point of this podcast not only is for all of you guys to get to know Diane a little bit better, and really paying tribute to one of the goats in the industry anyway, but it's also, Diane runs a lot of the departments that make this whole thing run. And so we thought having you on and people getting to know you, but then also getting to know your department a little bit better and understand the ways that we all work together, it can't hurt, right?
Yeah, I like it.
I like it. So before we get into anything that has to do with ERC, I want to learn more about Diane. And this is a very honest place. And this is the time where we can actually ask the questions we've been wanting to know.
And you can tell everything. You don't have to hold anything back.
I'm actually really excited to get to know Diane because I know nothing about her backstory. So.
All right. Well, we're going to start there. So Diane, give us a little bit of where you're from, how you grew up, all that kind of stuff.
Well, I grew up in Utah, so have been here my whole life. I love Utah, love the outdoors. So I'm in the middle of 5 children. So I have 4 sisters, 1 poor little brother that had a lot of mothers. So I went to the University of Utah. It's still my passion. I'm all about Utah. Anyone around here knows that.
Go Utes.
Yeah.
Whenever we have University of Utah players come in, the thing that they're most excited for is to meet Diane, get a picture with her, get an autograph on something. Like, that's a big deal for the players to actually meet you, Diane.
The day Kevin introduced me to Britton Covey, I could have died the next day.
Well, him too. He texted me. I'm like, I was like, Britt, you're married, dude. Quit.
He's just the nicest guy. Like,
He really is.
yeah.
He had his baby last night.
Oh,
They had their baby
that's
yesterday.
awesome.
Yeah.
So yeah, I went to the U, majored in education. So taught school for a year, and then realized this is not what I can do the rest of my life. So then I went into an office setting. I had a friend that owned a company and just offered me to do payroll, accounts payable, accounts receivable. I set up all their QuickBooks, so I kind of did that accounting stuff for a while. That wasn't really my personality, but so
Too
I
dry.
did that. Yes.
And you've got a lot of personality, so yeah. Okay.
So I like to talk. So accounting, really sitting there pushing numbers isn't my thing. So.
Cup of tea.
And then I actually got an offer through another guy I knew that he was working in a call center, and it was starting and growing. And so I actually worked in that call center for over 18 years, different positions there. But so I worked with a lot of sales reps, things like that. It grew to over a 5,000 person call center that I worked with. So that was actually super fun. Let's see, what did so there I did, like, they had a department that did RFPs, if you know what that is. Like,
I know what it is, but just for some of our listeners who don't want it, what is that?
So what they did is, well, it was a call center that did businesses for other companies. So like we did Microsoft, we did Hyundai, we did Ann Taylor, we did Clairol, a lot of companies. So companies would come to us and they would have us do their customer service or sales or whatever that was. So
Yep, that's what I knew it was.
so
Thanks for letting Diane explain it, Sean.
So the RFP process was where we would go out to companies, would write 300-400 page documents and tell them how we were going to do their business and manage it. And so I would travel with the sales team as they would go out to customers and tell them how we're going to manage their business. They'd talk about the sales process. I'd talk about the call center part of it. So it was really fun, loved it. And then I also did employee relations there, so that was super fun. Planned parties for 5,000 employees was a riot.
That's why you're so good.
It was fun. So, and then they went at the call center. I traveled to India for 2 weeks to train people in India on actually DirecTV. That's what we trained on. Wow. And then they told me they were moving my position to India, and I said, that's great, but not me.
That's a great intro so far. It illustrates a couple of key points because people who work with Connect can now maybe add a little context to what the possibilities are there because, A, you're loyal. You were in that position for 18 years and moved around within it, so you knew it pretty well. It shows that you're very organized because you could organize and lead a group of 5,000 people, no matter what that is, and also your ability to interact with so many people. Through all that is really good. That's a great little intro to give some context.
Well, and number 4, her name's Diane, and she likes to party.
Oh, yeah.
All I heard,
gotten there, but
all I heard is she's like, yeah, and I like to party.
I figured that at some point we're going to get into that. But Diane does like to party.
Out of all that, that's what Kevin picked up.
That is that's always what I'm going to pick up. Keep going.
So then, since I decided I wasn't moving to India, then I got a position with another vendor like Clear that did, DirecTV. And that's how I met Clear, is through that connection. And like Kevin said, came in one day, was working, for the other company, but introduction to Clear, and decided, hey, this is the company I want to work for. So
now I'll never forget, we had a meeting after the initial, just like everyone met, and it was like, everyone in the room was like, okay, for sure, this Diane is like the whole secret to this company. How do we, number one, she doesn't leave this building ever again. Number 2, how do we work with this company, right? But it was really, honestly, we identified it so quickly because you really do, know what you're doing. You're very easy to talk to, easy to work with, and everything. You can just tell. But then also in a world of salesmen, someone has to keep their arms around it and to keep it all corralled and control it and everything. And it was very, very obvious. I mean, you were wearing all the hats over there also. And so being able to handle that many things on your plate for a company full of sales guys and 1099 employees and all that, that takes a different type of a skill set.
And still be able to party like you do. To balance it all out.
Thank you, Kevin. That's really nice.
That's part 2 of the podcast, actually.
I've seen Diane in Vegas. I know how she likes to party.
Okay, so you've been here for 6 years. I think the first question I would like to ask is who is your favorite person at Clear? Reps included, tech reps, executives, presidents of
There's
sales.
There's only 47 people that would have their feelings hurt. So just be honest.
Yeah. So this is your chance to talk about me right now, Diane. I'm just joking.
To be honest, I cannot say because I honestly love it here. And it's all about the people here, It's just amazing. So, and that's what I tell people when they ask about Clear, and I'm like, it's all about the people. And so I can't say a favorite because there's so many people, and that's just honest, that I absolutely love here.
Well, I actually believe you. Most people say that. I'm like, that's an easy way out. I actually do believe you, but I wanted to dig into that a little bit because when you were saying you plan parties for 5,000 people, no, but you kind of facilitate that role here too, right? So
Right.
we have the Well-Deserved Wednesdays. It's not just about partying. It is about culture, environment, and all those things. I've been in a lot of meetings where it's just you and I like planning out something, and you really understand the importance of showing appreciation and the culture and people needing to feel recognized and important and liking their jobs, and you really get that, where everyone says they get that, but you really do put in the extra effort. So why is that so important to you? And I know it's important because you put such an emphasis on it. So
It is important to me. I think it comes from my mom, I have to say. My mom's the most caring person ever. She does so much for others, and just growing up, it was always like, what can we do for others? Like, if someone's having a bad day, what can we do? And I just actually love the way you can change someone's day or add to their day. And it was funny because I was talking to Anna on Friday, and I knew that she wanted to go to St. George this weekend. And I'm like, why don't you leave early? And she's like, how can you just see that? And I'm like, because you know what? It's not all about work. It's about others and family. And, I guess I just love to see others like enjoying themselves. So if I'm partying, then they should be happy.
I was going to say, you heard somebody want to go to Vegas and you have a special place in your heart for that. But no, the thing is, so many people would say that, but anyone who's met Diane like knows that really is like how I think everyone thinks that they're that way, but you really are. What were you going to say,
Just
John?
You can say that when you work hard, though, because Diane works so hard that you can have your breaks and do whatever when you also work really hard, and it shows that you're a balanced individual. Ever since the first podcast that we did with Isaac, there's been some tie-ins with like a balanced personality, and I truly believe that Diane and I were to go hang out for like the 100th time again tonight. She's the same person outside of work than here. I believe that. And that's really important, because that's when you're a balanced person. It makes it easier to be who you are in principled at work and at home. And then you can say things like that to Anna and recognize in other people. You can be really true when you have like a balanced personality.
Thanks.
So we're going to talk about your actual departments and all of that in a minute more specifically. But there's one thing that I think you do really, really well. We've talked about it some. Again, there's common themes in these podcasts I've noticed, but conflict resolution and just problems and being a problem solver. You constantly all day are getting not always problems, just questions, and sometimes problems and things. But your day is filled with problem solving and conflict resolution, and you do such a good job of staying patient. You do such a good job of not only staying calm yourself, but calming down the situation. Do you feel like you've always been good at that, and that comes naturally to you, or is that something that you learned? And then how important is it with problem solving to stay calm and patient like you do?
I don't think I just had it. I think I learned it. Definitely being in the call center environment, because you get tons of calls from sales reps, clients that are upset. And really what I learned is when they're upset, they're not upset at you. And so what you need to realize is it's not personal. And if you can help them with the problem, then they're usually calm, or they'll calm down. And I just think that I think that's something I love doing, is finding that problem and then taking it to a resolution. And sometimes I think it's a control freak too.
That's a theme that we should touch on, because it was a very predominant part of Chris Redfern's episode. Also came up in Kendall's, but the ability to solve problems. So as it applies to Diane, I remember, I can't use any names, but there was one rep situation specifically where I asked if I could help you and take it off your plate, and Diane said, no, I would like to see this through. Like she wanted to solve that problem herself. Not to say that I could, and I probably couldn't any better than she could, but just to alleviate, because she had so much on her plate. That's really what I was trying to do, not to solve a problem she couldn't solve. And Diane was like, nope, if you're, probably what I'm talking about.
Yes.
And she's like, no, I'm going to keep this. I'm going to work this out. And so the desire to problem solve and to be able to do it well is a skill that has definitely come up as a theme. And yeah.
Well, the last thing I want to say before we jump into more of like the ERC specific stuff is I was just thinking while you were talking about that. And Diane, it's funny, whenever there's a company trip or a party or anytime somebody has to get up in front of like a large group here at Clear Home in the last like 6 years, I don't think there's been a time where they weren't like, hey, we do want to recognize one person that, did everything to help this setup. And it's always Diane. It's crazy. Now, I know you have a team of people that help you and you are so good at making sure that they're also recognized and like generally recognizing that you're not doing this alone and everything, but you take a lot on your plate and then you deliver really well. And so one thing I've noticed with Diane that I think is so important is when things get delegated to Diane, she follows through. And whether it's her following through or her delegating that down, her communication with the people in her department is fantastic. I think it's really, really good. And when Diane has a task, it's so nice. Because a lot of times Diane and I are working together on things where my wife always says, no, I plan the vacations, but Kevin, you make them fun, right? Like we were on a family reunion this weekend and she's like, what's going on with you? I'm like, well, no, there's like your thing. She goes, no, I plan it. You make it fun. Like, go do your job. And I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Right. So it's kind of the same with me and Diane, where she does a lot of the work and then we get to work together too. But my favorite thing about Diane is when you delegate something to her, then you don't have to keep following up, finding out if it's being worked on, where the progress, it's going to be done and it's going to be done well. Like, that is so valuable. Like, so your follow through is amazing.
Thanks. Well, one thing I do love working with Kevin on is, like you said, these events or anything, I can do my piece first and then I just hand it off and I know you're going to make it, perfect.
And I'll take all the glory.
Yeah. And that's fine. And you know what? That is perfectly fine with me. Being in front of the camera is not my thing.
So funny. Well, no, I love working with you on that way too, but it really is a giant compliment to be able to say, hey, when you take on something, we all know that it'll get done. And that's, whether it's a time thing or just a competency thing, like you're just really good at that. So
thank you.
Well, you're welcome. Okay. Now let's talk about your actual department.
Yeah.
All right. And
the best part of me.
The best part of you. Right. And so, give us an idea of, now Diane's been with us through, we're really unique in how quickly we pivot and how we, add a new, like a new campaign and everyone listening to this might be in a different department and they're probably thinking of what that means to them when we add a new campaign. Well, there are a couple people in this company that need to make sure that everything is being communicated from all these departments. So even though it's new for everyone, it also is new for the company to work together on that. And I think that's where Diane does such a good job of coming in and just making sure that it all connects. I think you and Jeremy Osmus are probably the two people that can kind of like speak every language that way. And so explain to us kind of your department. We could probably go into all the things from all the different campaigns, but let's talk about ERC now. And let's talk about your department specifically and kind of what your role is in that process.
So when I started here, Casey actually came to me and said, that Kevin, you had always wanted kind of a one-stop for sales reps and had never done that. And he said, what if we brought you on and you created that department? So we created Connect. And so really what that is we want it to be a one-stop really for reps. Now, there's lines between that because of ERC and what, the client success managers do and Connect. But really our job is to make it easy for the reps to do their jobs and let us kind of run around and chase whatever we need to do. That's kind of how I see it, is let the reps go do their jobs. If there's a problem or something they need, we'll do the legwork. And then, that keeps them focused on their job.
Sean, anything you want to add to that?
Nope.
Beautiful.
Other than another compliment to that team, for anybody, this being the RCVR ERC Pros podcast. Some people don't realize that Diane and her team are actually doing that for other campaigns here at Clear Home, the Amazon campaign, DLVR, and others like that. So her plate is pretty full, and they do a good job of balancing the help they need to give reps amongst different campaigns.
So what are things that reps go to you for? I mean, and honestly, everyone on this call might be like, oh, I've reached out to them once or twice. We get to see how many times people call in and email in to connect on like a monthly basis, and it's crazy how much volume you guys have coming in every single day, and so explain what reps in the ERC program are coming to you for, and then also how do you keep that all organized?
Yeah, so it was kind of funny when I started here. There was a team of about 4, and I just came in and kind of looked what they were doing. And I felt so bad for them. They were doing everything just manually, through email. And, a rep would email one person or another. And
or all 4 of them.
Yeah.
Separately.
Yeah. I'm like, this isn't scalable. And you just can't fix problems that way because you don't know, what are the top issues and how can we fix that? So we quickly implemented a ticketing system, which, changed the way we function. So right now we have a ticketing system that all the emails come into. So we're able to do kind of first in, first out. I can see every day, who's handling what, how long a ticket's been opened. So if it's been opened for a very long time, which I say very long, if it's been open for 15 minutes, then I'm meeting with them and say, what's going on here? Our goal is to just get a response quickly. But I have 4 amazing people. So we have Jessica, it's been here like 4 years. AXA, tomorrow is her 1 year here.
Oh, how cool is that?
Vinny's been here 6 months. And I have to say, Vinny, when she started, she actually worked for us on DirecTV and then wanted to come back. So I kind of grabbed her when she wanted to come back and say, oh, I want her part Connect. She probably learned Connect faster than anyone has ever. But she's been here 6 months. And
she
then
was really good, really fast. I noticed that. Yep.
Yeah. And then Sydney's been here almost 2 months now. And what's great is our team's just like a little family. I mean, someone was laughing today. Oh, it was Clayton was laughing today because he's like, every day we're like, oh, who brought lunch, who didn't? And whoever didn't, one person gets lunch for each of us. We just all eat together every day. And that's really how it is. It's just a really close family. So, but some of the things that we handle for ERC are like if a rep might have problems with their hub, we try to get that fixed. And we keep pushing. I mean, the good thing is we pushed for more and more access to do more and more things. Onboarding will help with that. Lots of times reps will call and just need the email changed on an account to resend, to the client invite, so we can easily do that. We'll get lots of questions on, do we have any information on the client's checks, after it's been a few months, things like that. Let's see what else. Oh, reps will call us and just say, what docs are they missing, and lots of times we can help the CSM by reviewing those and saying, oh, maybe it is here, but the way the client sent it in isn't what we normally see, but kind of push that along. Excuse me. And then recently we've taken on, which has been really good, I think, is lots of times a client will have one Canopy portal for multiple businesses. And so we've trained Connect how to separate those so that the documents can be put in faster and move along in the process. So those really, we can help the reps with whatever they want, but trying to keep the CSMs doing what they're really good at, trying to keep us what we're good at.
And so when a rep comes in, just to understand, they could call, they can email, but your team creates the ticket and you monitor the ticket. That's created by you guys. All they have to do is email, call in, ask their question, you guys take over from there, make sure it gets closed.
Exactly. So they can email us. It's the email is ercsupport@ercpros.com. They can call us or text us. Call or text is the same number. And so whatever works for the rep, however they want to communicate, we want to make sure it's easy for them so they can do that. And then it becomes a ticket. And like I said earlier, like it's super important for me that we get those answered right away. Especially, you think of a rep out in the field, they might be with a client. You can't wait a long time to have a question answered. So sounds like maybe 15 minutes. I try and like, where are we at? What can I help with? So we move it quickly.
It might be a good segue just to some good news for all the listeners. And that is that now that we've built this tax firm, it's real, the ERC side of things. And we can now come back to fine tuning it. So Diane and I have planned a meeting with some people to go over standard operating procedures for ERC and create a very detailed list of what the issue is, where to go. So real quickly, it's going to be even easier for reps to come to Connect and get real clear direction. That it's going to be a little bit tighter. So that's some really good news that we've got coming up.
Yeah, and I really like that, because the thing I don't want to do is confuse reps with, when do I go to the CSM? When do I go to Connect? We want it to be clear so that they can get a response really fast and move on with their business.
Yeah, the cool thing is you guys work pretty closely with the CSMs, but at the same time, if they're going to both of you for the same thing, or if they're going to one who turns into the middleman for the other, it's like, obviously if you go to the source of truth first, you're going to get your answer quicker. I love how you explained what you guys do is, taking things off the shoulders of the reps so that they can go focus on their job. So one thing that I have noticed is the reps who've learned how to utilize Connect the best, they almost treat Connect for the things that Connect's there for is almost like their personal assistant, mm-hmm. right? Now, personal assistants can be very good and free. The whole point of a personal assistant, and Jesse's on a big kick about this right now, is it frees up your time, right? Now, how you use that time, it depends on if that assistant is valuable or not. Now, if you give a task to your assistant and then you sit and micromanage that and pester them and wait for them to do it, you probably could have got that done faster yourself because you still spent the same amount of time finding the answer. What I hope people are doing is taking that question to Connect, know that they're working on it, and then utilizing your time to go and focus on what your job is, which is, producing more accounts and things like that. And so, there comes a level of trust there. I think but I want the listeners to know, hey, when you email that in, a ticket's created. I mean, Sean, maybe talk about the process a little bit of how that works, because I do want when people email in to have peace of mind that, okay, I know it's going to get taken care of. They're going to return and report to me when that's done. Yeah. Now I can go focus on being productive instead of hovering over Connect until they finally give me the answer, which you probably could have just got on your own at that point.
To be very fair, we've created a tax firm that's quite large, a lot of W-2 employees. There's a lot behind it, a lot that's been invested into it. And that was done kind of as a pivot. And so we were a little bit behind the eight ball just to make it go and get people out there and give them a product and a process that they could use. But because of that, it wasn't really fine-tuned. And so I think initially, for anybody who's been on this campaign for a while, they may have had a little bit of frustration getting some of their answers, or maybe in a timely fashion. And that's because not all the tools were initially available. But at this point, at the very least, if a rep has a question, they could email, text, call into Connect, pretty much with anything. If they don't know where they're supposed to go, then go to Connect, because Connect knows how to escalate. And so if they don't have the answer or the quick direction, they can always escalate it right away. But with the new tools, the new ticketing system, with everything that we've implemented over the last few weeks and months, people can rest assured now that when they bring something in, a ticket gets made, it gets resolved. If you don't have the tools through Connect to resolve it, they know exactly where to go, whether that's to me, if it's to Jesse, if it's a revenue issue, if it's a party issue, they'll go to Kevin, who's the chief party officer. But Connect knows exactly where to go to escalate it. So the process is really just get your questions to Connect, and they'll know how to answer or escalate. Realistically, reps should be going to a CSM if they want information that's live on an account to help their credit, or they should go to Connect if it's a program issue. But one of those two things, and if you don't know which one of the two, you're welcome to go to Connect, because again, they know the direction everything's supposed to go, and they can help instruct a client or a rep on where to go from there. Is that a pretty fair? You want to add to that?
No, the thing I was going to say, the thing I liked about what you were saying, Sean, is the escalation part, because, most of our reps aren't here. And to get something escalated is probably a challenge for them. They don't know who to go to. And that's really why Connect was created, is you go to that one person, let us, escalate it. We have, working with Sean, we have a great plan of who to go to for what. And I promise you'll get it done a lot faster following that process.
You'll get a ticket created to make sure it gets closed.
Yes.
Because sometimes some of us get kind of busy, wrapped up in a meeting, or it's back-to-back meetings, and we're trying to do the best we can, but go to Connect, there's a ticket that's trackable, it gets closed.
Well, and what's funny about that, the other day, I don't know who I was talking to, but someone's like, yeah, the tickets aren't being closed. And I'm like, okay, stop right there. I'm like, no, because, before I leave in the day, unless it's like something that the rep is aware that it may take a day to do, there is nothing. And I'm pretty protective of that. And when someone said that, I'm like, oh no, you show me something that's not.
There's your peace of mind. Diane's pretty adamant. So
yeah,
so
I know what my team does and what they're capable of, and so, it's like, this is going back to DirecTV with the other company. But when I started with the other company, and we were, they were knocking doors, and I'm like, I want to go out and knock doors, and they're like, what? You're in the office, and I'm like, no, I think it's important for me to know what they go through. And so we had a group in Houston. I went down to Houston for a couple days. Oh my gosh. I totally admire anyone that can go out and sell like that. I tell you, I don't want to do that. That is not what I want to do.
It would be amazing. No one could say no to you, Diane.
Yep.
I actually sold 5 DirecTVs in a day, which was really good.
I promise I believe you. I'd buy from you. You're the only person that might get me as a sale. Actually.
And they're like, do you want to go out and sell? And I'm like, no.
Never
that was
again.
the hardest job I've ever done.
She's like, I just need you guys to know I'm better than you.
That was part of it.
Great perspective, though, and you touched on that when you were introducing kind of some of your past stuff and working through that other program. But the fact that you are willing to go out and understand is really awesome. So Diane does try to understand everything, even though her role is not out in the field. Just that shows a willingness to understand what reps are going through and to be involved, because in order to truly help you kind of have to understand what it is that you're helping, right? And what it looks like from their perspective. That's really great.
Yeah. I just think that's one of the hardest jobs, like our reps that go out and create these opportunities, for all of us, for themselves, but for all of us, is amazing to me, because I think that's a really, really hard job. I think people think like, oh, they make a lot of money and sales reps make money. I promise they earn it.
I don't want to deviate, so keep going.
No.
At some point while we're on this, the ticketing system and the reps and that whole interaction, early on you would get questions from reps that I know were so obvious that you wanted to wring their neck sometimes and say, the information is already in your hands. To be fair to the reps, early on, as we already discussed, we were building this program, and so the tools weren't perfect yet, and in the hub, we were still adding and building things, and so, there was maybe at some point in the past that's gone now, maybe reasons once in a while to not trust the data was there. That being said, where we are now, is there still one question that sticks out in your mind that you get a lot that you're like, the information is already in their hands? Is there like a reoccurring thing? And it's okay if there's not. That would just say that we've gotten better. If there is, this is your chance to tell everybody.
No, I don't really think now there is.
Okay.
That's one thing, though, I love about being here is, the process here isn't, you don't start until your I's are dotted and your T's are crossed. Like, we're going to go for it. We'll learn along the way. We'll stumble, and sometimes it's tough, but I think it just is fun. It's just so fun.
It's rowdy.
Yeah.
There's no other way to build a tax firm in a year that's the size and has what we have, unless you kind of do it the way you just described. It doesn't mean that that's always the way you do it if you have time and the means. Yeah. But in a pressure situation, it's fun. Yeah. And this company is very good at doing that.
Well, I know there was some frustration at first with reps with that kind of, scenario. There always probably is. But I hope, the thing is, I've heard from reps, like, how much better it is. I heard a couple comments, like, bringing Jeremy on because he just has some certain skills, that Jeremy's a really good communicator.
Jeremy Arthur.
Yeah.
Yep.
Not us.
Oh, no. Let's just clarify. Our Jeremy's here.
Arthur, yeah.
We're talking about Jeremy number 2.
But things that have happened along the way, like the organization that you've brought, Sean, the processes, things like that. Like we hear from the reps how much that's helped them. So I think we're at a really good point.
I agree.
That's
That's actually the answer I wanted you to give. It would have been fun if there was like something to nitpick, but that's the answer we want.
I think it's perfect.
Yep.
So one thing I do want to say to everyone listening is Connect is here as a tool for you, and their only job is to help you. So one thing I would just say is, number one, like learn how to utilize it. Like understand what tools you have and like learn how to utilize it. Some reps like do a really good job of utilizing Connect to where it really frees up their time to go. And there's some reps that every morning they wake up, they see the questions they have, they email Connect, they go work. At lunch, they might re-look at that and then, any follow-up questions or anything like that and get back to work. And there's people working for them while they're working. That's a very smart way of doing it. One thing I would say, there have been times when people can be a little short with your team or a little aggressive, sales guys especially. And when I say guys, I mean sales guys, because usually I don't hear the girls, the female reps coming up. But sometimes they can be aggressive or impatient or things like that. And so one thing, I'm not going to make you say it, I'm going to say it, is they are here to help you. So the nicer you are to them, the better they're going to want to help you and a better job they're going to want to do. And the more enjoyable it's going to be for them. So the next time you ask them a question, they're a lot more likely to move quickly and want to help. They're humans too. So if you want Connect to really do a good job for you and you want to utilize it the best way, be nice. Do you agree with that, Diane?
Oh, totally.
I've never seen you be mean to anybody. So I know that's a real thing for you.
Well, it's just, having someone pleasant, even when they have a problem, is so much easier to want to help than someone that's aggressive or angry. It's just common sense.
I agree. It's crazy how many times people think people will move quicker the meaner they are, when for a lot of people, it's actually the opposite. Then if I know you're stressed out, but you're showing respect, I'm way more willing to go to bat and to really kill myself to like help figure this out with you, rather than you making me feel like it was my fault that it was a problem, when of course that wasn't my fault. I'm happy to help, but like I'm doing this because I want to help you, not because I have to help you, kind of thing. Either way, you're probably going to get my help. One of them is going to be enjoyable for both of us, and one of them I'm probably going to move a lot faster.
Yeah, I think the thing is, there's nothing wrong with a rep calling in and saying, I'm really frustrated, my client's frustrated and keeps calling me. That's understandable. But the way you treat a person is, you're going to get a lot further if you're kind.
How far does a sincere thank you or a sincere apology go?
Definitely.
With your team? Do you get those?
We do get them.
Okay.
We actually do get them. I'd say for the most part, our reps are very considerate, very kind. We hardly, once in a while we get an upset rep or someone that is kind of over the top. But the thing is, I'll definitely call them out. I mean, I've called reps and said, hey, that conversation wasn't appropriate. So if you treat my team bad, you will hear from me.
Well, and if you don't hear from Diane, if Jeremy Arthur hears about it, Jeremy Arthur will Mother-bear Connect until it's out before we even get a chance to. So we're all pretty protective of it. Well, there's two last things. One thing I want to say is I've had a lot of reps tell me, hey, this is literally the coolest campaign that we've ever worked on. This is life-changing. Like, thank you so much for even giving me this opportunity. I have a lot of reps come to me with that, and I usually just say thank you and take all the glory, like I always do. But I want everyone to know the truth is when we get new campaigns, a lot of times it's Paul, sometimes it's me, sometimes it's Jay. I mean, just like different people have brought these different campaigns into the building. This one actually came, ERC came through Diane, Momma-bear herself. And so I want everyone to know that on this is the reason we even have this opportunity is because of Diane. And I want you to know that I'll never forget it, and you get the credit. And after this podcast, I will probably continue to take the credit. But right now I'm willing to share it.
I, for one, am very grateful.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Me too. I really am. I think this is taking the company somewhere I never imagined. So.
Yeah, it's so weird when people ask what we do, and I explain it to them, and then I'm always like, we're a customer acquisition company, and then I'm always like, but the craziest thing is we actually don't have any residential campaigns right now, and it just like blows my mind from the world that we come from, and we've had so many campaigns that they're all business to business right now. It blows my mind. But okay, here's my last question, and will be a good one to ask. Sometimes I get nervous asking this, but I know that you really do love Clear Home. So Diane is actually, you hear about salesmen getting recruited away and things like that. I want people to know Diane's had multiple offers from multiple different companies to go and leave Clear Home and go pursue different opportunities, and a lot of people, not just inside this organization, see your value, which is why you're presented with so many of these opportunities, but you've never actually left and done any of them, and I don't even know if you've ever really considered one. So number one, I want you to know that I 100% appreciate how valuable you are and recognize it. And I hope everyone in this company does too. But that also must mean that you really do love this company. And so where I would be nervous to ask this question to a lot of people, I know that you love this company or you would have left 20 times by now. So give us your Clear-amony. I want to hear why you love Clear. We'll end on this because why do I feel like I'm going to get emotional? All right. Try not to make it all about me, but tell us why you love Clear Home.
Well, like I said at the first, I have had opportunities to leave, and I had an opportunity, maybe a year and a half ago that I went to Kevin and said, hey, I need to talk to you about this because it was an opportunity that I felt like could have changed my life. And Kevin was really good. He never was, oh, you need to be at Clear. He just evaluated the situation and said, here's what I think you should look at, and left it up to me to decide. But that's a super easy question for me. Like, I don't even have to think about it. I'm here because of the people. I love the people here. And this is honest. I mean, I have a lot of years of a career, and I've never worked for people that I've worked for people that I really like, but I've never worked for as many people as I actually love from the bottom of my heart. So that's why I'm here.
Oh, what a good way to end. Well, your team is amazing. I wish we could have, I would have loved if we just took 10 minutes on each member of your team, because they really do such a good job. And I know that our reps, whether they express it properly or not, really are appreciative of what you guys do. From like a bird's eye view company standpoint, we couldn't do what we do without Connect. I think that we all acknowledge that and appreciate it. And so, Diane, from the bottom of my heart, thank you for everything you do. I hope this podcast helps people appreciate not only how hard you work and how valuable you are, but understand the tools that are at their disposal. And I hope that they understand how to really utilize those to their advantage. Sean, anything else?
I love it. The culture that you've helped create is something that we all love here. I made a couple notes. Problem solver, which has come up in several podcasts, really big part of your success. You're loyal. People should be loyal. That's a great trait to have. You're organized. You can't do your job if you're just messy. You got to be a little bit organized. And the last thing is you take responsibility. That's really important, especially in your role, and people can learn a lot from that. You can't pass the buck and have people expect to trust you. And Diane takes full responsibility to get things done, and that's a really great trait as well. So thank you.
Man, you guys, thank you.
Jared, bring in the roses.
No, all the best attributes that mothers have, Diane possesses. So she is definitely the Clear Home mother, and we wouldn't be where we are today without her. So thanks, Diane.
Thank you.
All right, Momma-bear, did we build you up enough? You ready? Okay.
I'm floating now.
Well, you deserve it. All right, we love you, Diane.
Thanks.